For anyone out there that is calling this the X100 killer, you're missing the point. I've been getting the same question over and over again. Should I get the X100VI or should I get the X-E5? Which is the better buy? And on paper, these two look almost identical, like the same 40 megapixel sensor, the same processor, same film simulations. But after living with the X100VI for nearly a year, I can tell you the differences are more than the specs. So today I'm gonna be breaking this down from the perspective as a long-term X100VI user, design, performance, lenses, intangibles, and yes, pricing, which has gotten a little wild in the US lately. The X-E5 is Fujifilm's leanest interchangeable lens body. You know, it's small, it's light, it's minimalist, and with the 23mm f2 kit lens, it makes for a tidy travel-friendly package. Like, it's nice and compact, almost like a digital compact film camera. The X100VI though is different. You know, after 9 months of carrying it daily, I can say it feels more intentional. The body was built around this fixed 23mm lens. The weight, balance, the hybrid viewfinder, it all feels cohesive. Nothing about it feels like a compromise to support different lenses. So right away, it's kind of like the flexibility of the X-E5 versus the refinement of the X100VI. One of the big new features on the X-E5 is the dedicated film simulation dial on the top plate. At first glance, it feels like, you know, a fun idea, quick access to Fuji's famous film sims, but personally, I don't love it. I actually kind of hate it. And here's why, like, hear me out. I honestly never used the stock film simulations. You're never gonna see me just like shoot Astia by itself. Like, I feel like that's most of the fun about Fujifilm is experimenting with different recipes. And I've built my own custom recipes, and with the dial, you know, limited to just a handful or just 3 of those presets, half of it feels basically useless to me. On my X100VI, I just use a quick button shortcut to cycle through my film sims, and that's more versatile in my opinion because I can run through all of my film simulations. I can run through all of my recipes and not just have a fixed selection of them. So instead of being, you know, helpful, the dial feels redundant in my opinion. Honestly, I would have much rather seen Fujifilm put that R&D and cost into refining the build quality, you know, whether that's a better weather sealing or more robust materials or just making the body feel more premium. I don't know. I feel like that money could have went somewhere else. And it's not a deal breaker, but for me, it's a feature that looks good on paper and in marketing shots, but in practice, it doesn't add much. Now both cameras have like the same 40 megapixel X-Trans5 HR sensor and the X processor 5. So on, you know, a technical level, image quality is identical. The color, the sharpness, the film simulations, whether you're shooting portraits or landscapes, they look the same. But here's where the X100VI kind of pulls ahead in real world use. For one, the built-in ND filter. In Southern California, this has been huge. At the beach on bright days, I can still shoot wide open at f2 without blowing highlights. I've used it for portraits against the ocean, keeping background soft while handling harsh sunlight without ever screwing on an extra filter. Speaking of f2 lenses, the X100VI has an f2 23mm lens, whereas on the kit lens for the X-E5, it's f2.8. I need every bit of width on that aperture when it comes to shooting with crop sensors for low light performance and portrait work. Now the difference isn't night and day when it comes to like shallow depth of field, but there is a difference. So there's that. Also, you have the leaf shutter on the X100VI. This is one of those features that you really don't appreciate until you've used it. You know, it's nearly silent, making it perfect for discreet street shooting, you know, downtown, and it syncs with the flash at high shutter speeds. You know, something the X-E5's focal plane shutter just can't do. Also, another thing that is pretty expensive for Fujifilm to produce is the hybrid OVF EVF system. The X100VI finder is sharper at 3.69 million dots versus the 2.36 million dots on the X-E5. And switching between optical and electronic has become second nature for me. You know, for downtown street walks, I'll use OVF for a film-like feel, you know, just kind of feel connected to the image. And at night, I flip on the EVF for precision. That versatility adds to the joy of using the X100VI. It makes it feel more versatile. Also on the X100VI, you have the built-in flash. You know, I'll be honest, you know, I haven't used it often myself, but I do know a lot of people that really rely on it for a quick fill and harsh light, you know, to get that look for casual shooting. It's one of those nice to have bonuses that makes the camera feel more complete, and it's something the X-E5 just doesn't include. Now this is where the X-E5 gets its shine, and honestly, if this is a deal breaker for you, it kind of seals the deal in which camera you should be picking up. it's interchangeable. If you want to shoot macro, ultra wide, long telephoto, you can. And if you're already invested in XF lenses, the X-E5 is the logical extension. Like, it makes sense to do that. The X100VI, on the other hand, locks you into that 23mm. You can add Fujifilms or third-party wide and teleconverters, and the digital teleconverter is also surprisingly useful with that 40 megapixel sensor. But realistically, you're living in that 23mm world. And after 9 months of it, I'll say that limitation has become a strength for me personally. It forces me to frame differently, to commit, and to just shoot without gear paralysis. It's not for everyone, but it's made me a sharper photographer. And one thing that I will say with that added versatility of having interchangeable lenses, you really start to see the limitations or the shortcomings of the ergonomics of the X-E5. If you're gonna put even the 35mm 1.4 in this, I'd recommend getting a grip for this camera. Especially if you're gonna, get those super fast lenses like, the 18-1.4, 1.2, whatever it is, those long telephoto lenses. This body is not built for that. So definitely invest in some added ergonomics and a grip, maybe a thumb rest, something that'll help you out. And here's one thing that not enough people are talking about when it comes to the X-E5, and that's the fact that it's actually slow. Now granted, it's not GFX slow, but it is noticeably slower when comparing it to the X100VI. When it comes to booting it up in comparison to the X100VI, it is missing a step, which can be vital and crucial when it comes to getting that shot. But where it's most noticeable is when you load up your playback. I don't know what's going on, but this feels much slower than it should be. Now, my only hope for this is that it's not a hardware limitation, and I hope that it can be updated with software and, corrected over time. But as of right now, this is slow, and not enough people are talking about it. This is the part that's harder to quantify, in my opinion. These are the intangibles. The X-E5 is capable, it's compact, it's versatile, and produces the same great Fuji files that the X100VI does. But it feels like a system entry point, a clean, reliable tool without much personality. The X100VI, after 9 months, feels like a companion. The hybrid finder makes it interactive, the leaf shutter keeps it discreet, the ND filter opens creative options like slow shutter and broad daylight and harsh SoCal sun. And more than anything, it's the camera that I actually carry. I don't think twice about tossing it in a bag for coffee runs, going to the grocery store, taking the trash out, or family outings, anything. It comes with me downtown, to the beach, to Rams games, because it's compact, quiet, and always ready. That emotional connection is why so many people swear by the X100 line. Now let's talk numbers. When I bought the X100VI at launch, it was $1,599, $1,599. Today with tariffs, it's $1,799. It's gone up a bit. The X-E5 bundled with the XF 23mm kit lens is $1,899, so $1,899. So the camera that used to be Fuji's budget-friendly line, the X-E, is now actually more expensive if you want a 23mm setup. And the kicker, the X100VI still gives you more. Built-in ND, leaf shutter, high resolution hybrid finder, a built-in flash. If you need interchangeable lenses, sure, the X-E5 earns its keep, but if you're comparing apples to apples, the X100VI gives you more for less. And for less with quotation marks, like you'd be hard pressed to find either of these cameras at retail from a regular vendor. Third party is going to be your normal route to getting these, or you're going to pay crazy markups. So if you didn't get any of these cameras on pre-order, it's a crapshoot in what's going to be cheaper or more expensive. For anyone out there that is calling this the X100 killer, you're missing the point. If you're looking to put a kit lens on and make it a small, compact, little cute camera, you're better off going with the X100. This is not an X100 killer because it's in its own lane. The X100 is like a unicorn. It's only competing with itself at this point. But yeah, what do you think? Do you have the X100VI? Do you have X100V? Or were you thinking about the X-E5? Has this, changed your mind in any way or added to that process of, decision making? Let me know down below in the comments. Of course, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We need to talk more. But yeah, it's been a pleasure as usual. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time, stay fresh. Peace.